Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the channel today for another review. And as you can see, I'm not by myself because Uncle Lou is with me, and we're getting ready to break down, to no one's pleasure, the film Spell.
A film that I received a call yesterday from my guy here, and he was like, "Man, you won't believe it. The new Omari Hardwick blockbuster has dropped, and we have to review it." And then I saw this movie.
So I'm also going to rebuttal that with like the real conversation that happened when we were out at happy hour, and you were just like, "Yo, this new Omari Hardwick movie," and I'm like, "He's definitely cheating, and it's definitely going to be trash." And to my knowing, it absolutely was half of that because he wasn't cheating in this.
Yeah, he was not cheating.
But let's be honest here now. Like, I'm not going to just dump it because it is getting bad ratings, but like the movie is like very flimsy. There's problems with it, but it had a lot of potential. Like,
yes,
the director Mark Tonderai, who's done a ton of television and a ton of reputable television shows of things I've even liked as well too. And then the all-star cast here, like anything with Loretta Devine, but by all means, if I can separate her out of this movie, like
yes, she is crazily phenomenal in this movie. That's the best way to put it. Granted, it's just all over the place unnecessarily, but she is very committed.
Yeah,
and Omari's not bad.
Yeah,
Omari's not bad in this movie.
He's not bad.
He's not bad in this movie.
Definitely would say that. So really quick, I'm just going to go over what the premise of this film is about. So Omari and his family. Omari is a small plane pilot, and they are going back to West Virginia to visit their dad's shrine or something of that sort. I didn't quite understand.
It was his dad's funeral, right?
They were going there to pay homage to his dad or something. That's all I know. They were going to see his deceased dad, nonetheless. And a thunderstorm happened. This is not a spoiler because this is all in the trailer. But a thunderstorm happened, and Omari wakes up, and he's separated from his family. He's hurt, and they're practicing all types of St. Louis. What am I saying? Louisiana.
I about to you said just about right because considering this is West Virginia and not Louisiana.
Exactly.
It's such a big miss right there. That is such a big miss. I don't know what they were thinking with that location.
And considering we're like about an hour and a half out from West Virginia, I just got to say, whatever part of West Virginia this is, this also solidifies the fact that I would never, ever, ever go to West Virginia.
I know people from West Virginia. I don't know what part of West Virginia this would be in. Like this is like I don't know. I don't know if they were just going for like wrong turn vibes, the Hill Have Eyes vibes.
Yeah,
with the location.
Yeah,
but you doing voodoo.
Yeah,
like voodoo. Or what do they call it in this movie?
It's an easy Louisiana. Clearly, Louisiana being the set location was just a missed opportunity there.
Yes,
but. So the plane goes down. He wakes up to them doing all type of witchcraft and voodoo and stuff on him, and he is now trying to figure out what the hell is going on around him, and plus get his family back. So that's pretty much like the premise of it. Again, I think the spoiler really depicts what's happening. There's really no surprises in that. It's supposed to be a horror film, and I won't say I was like scared at all, but I will say it was gory, and the gory was. It was quality. It wasn't like great. Anything with the special effects or anything as far as with the horror elements to it, nothing that I can say noteworthy here. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like wow. Like, there was a couple of scenes I was like, that's pretty cool, whatever. But like, nothing really stood out to me or left an impression with me with this film to go back and say. So that's why I'm like, it's really subpar. Like, and the thing I really want to point out is that there was like a stereotype back in the day where a film goes to video on demand. So you like, well, there's a certain level of expectation to it. It's not going to do too good, but like 2020 has proven that spectacular films came out in video on demand. But this feels like a classic straight to video on demand film where it's like star power, where it's like it could be good, but like let's keep it really safe within its margins. Like it's probably not going to be good, and that's where it's at. Like it fits right in that box, and it's one of those type of things where you go to Redbox looking for something that's sold out, and you're like, Amari Hardwick's and what? All right, I guess I'll check that out. And and that's where you're at with it. But like again, he wasn't bad. Loretta Devine was amazing. And it just was just really the issues was with the script for me.
The script is horrible. Just say it. The script is absolutely horrible. And like you said, certain times in the 90s, we would get those direct-to-video type of movies. And this one, here's the weird part. 2020 has been different with direct-to-video type films because we don't know if the films were meant to be in theaters. Maybe they were meant to be in art house theaters. So it kind of fools us at time what a direct-to-video film is. This, on the other hand, I think because of the star power, this possibly would have been a small movie that would have been released in theaters because it's set up that way. One, it has quality looks to it.
It does.
It does not look like a direct-to-video type of film. No. Mm-hmm. It had one shot in it when they're taking off in the plane from the gas station. Yeah. And that shot looks great. Mm-hmm. And all the promise I had for the movie was in that shot, and then it went away when we got into the helicopter. Like it on so many levels, this movie could have been great. And it's like they skipped some beats in the script that would have took it over the top.
Yeah.
And it's not the actor's fault. I don't believe, besides his son, who was played by, I can't remember the kid's name. It's not a bad performance in this movie. Not a single one.
I do you better. The son character probably shouldn't have been in the movie. I thought the kids were completely irrelevant. I don't think it was needed for what the plot wanted to do.
It could have been just him and a wife, and that would have been a very interesting story to have. And his wife goes missing, and then him that's like combining Breakdown with Misery with all with Skeleton Key or any other voodoo type of film. But again, it was just a lot of miselements with the plot because it's just clunky and yet simple. And you can't have both. If you're gonna have a simple plot, it needs to be straight line where you expect everything to happen, but it's done well. If it's gonna be chunky, it needs to be chunky because it's supposed to be throwing everything at me. Yeah. And this movie doesn't even do that well.
Yeah, that's true. And like you were right when you sold me on this. When you look at everybody who's involved here, when you even go to the writer, Kurt Wilmer, who's done so many different things here. Mm-hmm. By all means, I want to name some ones that I like. First of all, but Street Kings, Law Abiding Citizen, but he's done like Equilibrium, which I like. But he's done another thing, Point Break, which I didn't like. Total Recall, which I didn't like. Salt, which I did like. So like.
But he's a big writer.
Yeah.
Like that's what I meant. But like this should have been so much bigger than it was. But he did write Total Recall. So
yeah. And apparently he's doing the Misfits that's coming out. So I mean, my point of bringing them up is just that like I see inconsistencies as far as the movies I liked and didn't like. And this is one of those movies where like you're right, it definitely had potential, but there was definitely things that a little bit of tweaking definitely could have been better. I definitely would have never had this in West Virginia. I have no clue ever why they would have said we want to make this a small African-American town in West Virginia when Louisiana this stuff exists.
It's right there for you. And I know everybody uses Louisiana. How about
everybody?
Alabama. How about you use
Alabama?
Mississippi?
Been great. Yeah.
Anywhere but West Virginia. No. No.
And like it's not nitpicking because the idea of that when you think about what's happening with the plot and that the fact that they predicate this to being in West Virginia, then that's where that's where you have to take your mental to saying like for instance, if I say, you know what, we're going to do an all black movie in the deep south of Texas, then you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I already get it. But you'd be like, yeah, this is a voodoo movie and witchcraft in West Virginia. You're like,
that makes no sense.
What?
Absolutely no sense. I mean, it makes as much sense as them taking a small plane to get there instead of any other way of transportation. It's West Virginia. You could damn near drive
rich man
everything. And he decides to take a small plane there.
Yeah.
Like it was things of that nature that makes you question like what were you thinking when you wrote this? You can have them disappear in a car. It could be a horrible car accident.
100%.
It didn't need to be a plane crash.
And I'll be honest, I'll say this too. Because again, the movie has potential, and where the movie leaves off at, there's potential for it to actually be something else afterwards. I wouldn't mind a redo here. If you want to, now that you realize, like,
oh, I'm going to watch this again. I'm 1,000% going to watch this again. I have, like, again, it's not a good movie, but it's a bad-ish B horror movie. Yeah, I watch those all the time.
Yeah, and by all means, there's nothing unique about the plot here, too.
Yes,
you absolutely have seen it. So I think, again, I think that if I hadn't talked to you about it, I wouldn't have already set myself at a 5. I would have came in much lower, and I would have been at about a 5 and 6. And I'd be like, I'm cool with this. And I probably would have been like, yeah, I like this movie because it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. But when you really do break down everybody involved in this film, you're just like, yo, this has super potential to being good. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Omari Hardwick is such a good actor, but I think when you put anybody next to Loretta Devine, that you can really elevate every scene, and that she did. But Omari also held his as well too. So it's just, it all came down to the writing for me here. I just don't feel like the characters gave me enough. And I think the biggest thing that Omari does is that he really excels with emotion. And I never felt sympathetic for him in the means of him being held hostage or looking for his family. Like, I never at any moment sympathized with him. And like, even when you think about like the human element of what was happening too, I also didn't agree with some of the tactics that this character did as far as trying to at some point escape or whatever.
It's one scene. I'm not going to tell you what it is. All I'm going to say is he was attempting to escape. Yeah, and it's the most ridiculous scene humanly possible. And you're like, that's where we're going with this?
Yeah.
And he goes back and acts like nothing happened, like she's just the dumbest person in the world. I said, okay, none of that makes any sense. None of it. It just has holes in it that don't make sense. It's voodoo. In a trailer, I believe they show her making a doll.
Mm-hmm.
Spells. The point of making it?
And spells with spices.
Yes.
The capital of spices is what's that state again? Better have we can go straight to that city. West Virginia.
Exactly. Like it's oh god. But hey, I must say, people's reaction to this movie has been really good.
Yeah.
That is because again, it's simple. You go in with low expectations, this movie works for you because it's so simple. Nothing surprises you here. Nothing horrible to the point where it upsets you happens here. We just are watching this movie a little differently, and we're noticing inconsistencies that shouldn't be there for the caliber of on-screen and behind-the-screen talent attached to this film.
Absolutely agree. And also, I just want to give a nod to John Beasley, who's also in this film, standing next to Loretta Devine. Absolutely. First scene he walked in, I was like, that is my guy right there. So,
how did you blow the opportunity of giving him more time on screen?
I mean,
makes no sense. You could have went through the history of this town, what they do. You hint to Omari Hardwick's father, yet all we get are flashbacks that tell us nothing. All you had to do was build on that, and you have two amazing actors, who could have built on the history and made you care possibly a little more about what was going to happen to Omari in this
film.
You
what, and I'll leave it on this note. With what you said, then I would have completely wiped the idea that they were even in West Virginia if they would have explained to me why I should care the fact that they're in West Virginia.
What's this small town full of black people in West Virginia? What do they do? How do they grow up? What? It's so many things you could have done with this film and that setup, and you just didn't do it. Instead, we got a run-of-the-mill horror thriller voodoo film.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna go more on the thriller side. I'm gonna ease off the gas on the horror.
Yes, and not scary at all. It's not scary at all.
And I guess you might want to add drama, but I don't know. That depends
no
on
drama in this movie
consider.
either. No, it's absolutely no drama. There's nothing dramatic that happens in this movie at all. It could be a comedic thriller, because that's about just as how it works. The moment Loretta Devine says, oh, "We ain't got no Obamacare in these spots," it's like right there, you're like, okay. But it's weird. That line can set a tone for a film that it just missed the opportunity.
I will say this, that those type of the dialogue within is when, again, Loretta Devine just absolutely killed her role. And talking about dialogue, her dialogue definitely made you eye into what time period we're in, because even that was even questionable for a while. But once they started certain things were being said, I was like, okay, so this small town, even though they're on the outskirts or they're exiled from society, shall I say, they're very much aware of what's happening. They brought up Obamacare. They definitely knew to go ahead and snatch that phone. Anyway, that's too much. I don't want to give anything.
You don't give up too much.
Yeah. So, but that's all I got for this film. Again, I went in with higher expectations because of, and you're not wrong for the reasons you told me about, but it looks
to me, the trailer, anybody, if you don't know what we're talking about, go watch the trailer of this film and watch how amazing that trailer is shot for a horror film.
Yeah.
I haven't seen too many decent or good horror movie trailers this year. I literally saw Halloween's next movie trailer and that disappointed. This trailer was good and it sets up something, and then you get to the movie.
And I'll just say that the trailer is the best part of the movie. So at that point, y'all, I mean, check it out. If you're able to get it at a low rental, I think it's standard at 10, but if you could do it for 5, I would check it out. I didn't hate it. And if you like the people involved with it, then, by all means, but I just don't go in with high expectation. This is a very subtle C to maybe B- area film.
He's even nice with the scores. Look at that. Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, I just very average.
I just said a D to a C-.
Yeah, well, just very
depending on who you are, it can get that D real quick. Pause on what I just said.
And that would do it. Y'all, thank you so much for watching the review. Let us know in the comments. Obviously, the film is already available now. Let me know if you've already seen it. What's your thoughts on the film? And obviously, do you agree with the scoring here? Do you think we're a little bit too harsh, too friendly, whatever it may be? But anyway, stay tuned because we got more reviews coming really soon, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in.